Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of solving quadratic equations. This is standard A.8A in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 22 of the 2016 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have this little formula here that s equals n squared plus n, as long as that n is greater than or equal to 2. So we're looking for the value of n, so our solution, when the sum is 156, and that sum is going to be that s right there. So let's write this right here. So n squared plus n equals 156. Now we've got a few options here. We could use the quadratic formula. I want to use completing the square here. So if you are familiar with completing the square, we'll use n's here. The ideal form is if we can get this n plus a squared. We can get our factors to look like that. So if we FOIL that out, remember that's going to be n squared plus 2na, because it's an and then a squared. And so what that means here is that this right here is serving as our 2na, and so let's solve for a. Okay, so if I want to solve for a, I'm going to divide both sides by 2n. We could just put a 1 right there. So the 2 and the n cancel out, the n cancels out, so it looks like my a equals 1/2. So if I'm wanting this a squared in this third term, then I'm going to need to add an a squared, which is 1/2. So 1/2 squared, it's going to make 1/4. But I can't just add 1/4 on one side. I've got to add 1/4 on the other side. So I'm going to make that 156 and 1/4. So I added that to both sides. Now I can simplify this to n plus, remember our a was 1/2 squared, equals 156 and 1/4. Now I can take the square root of both sides, and that gets rid of that squared right there. So it's n plus 1/2 equals square root of 156 and 1/4 is actually 12.5, but since it's the square root, it's going to be plus or minus 12.5. So let's solve for n. Let's take 0.5. Since we're doing decimals, let's go ahead and take 0.5 away, right? And let's assume that it's going to be a positive. And we need that to be a positive because remember it says n is going to be greater than 2. So if this was a negative 12.5, it would be, a negative number. So we don't want that. So if I take that positive 12.5, subtract 0.5 on both sides, that gets me n equals 12, which is one of my answers. The other one, right, would have been a negative 13, but we're not looking for that. We also could have used the quadratic formula, right? So the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And when we're looking at that, we do need to make sure we've got n squared plus n equals, and this is the 156. So I'm going to do a minus 156 equals 0, just so I know my a equals 1, b equals 1, c equals negative 156. Okay? So now we're going to say negative 1 plus or minus, that b is still going to be 1, and then minus 4 times 1 times negative 156 over 2a, that's 2 times 1. So if I do a whole bunch of simplifying here, we're going to get negative 1 plus or minus square root of 1 minus, it's actually going to be a plus because I got 2 right there. So if I do my 156 times 4, that's 624. Okay, so 624, and then over 2, so that's really going to be 625. The square root of 625 is 25. So it's negative 1 plus or minus 25 over 2. Right, we need the positive, so 24 over 2, yeah, I guess what that's going to be, 12. So our answer is J.